Hey, I'm Rob from JTRPodcast.com, and this is Chrononauts, a game where you're trying to change the timeline of history to suit your own personal goal. And how it works is actually very simple. You have all these cards laid out. It looks a bit messy, but these are all specific points in time in order from 1865 to 1999. And you have a hand of cards, and what you're going to do is playing these cards in order to try and change the timeline and do other things to help you win the game. So one of the things you have is your ID card, and this tells you what you're trying to achieve throughout history. So I was Mr. X. I needed to change 1950 in 1995, so I needed to open a Zeppelin factory in Seoul. I needed a Koresh's Ministry Hospital to open in 1995, and I needed both Martin Luther King and Kennedy to stay murdered, which was, I needed that to happen. So that's what Mr. X wants, and that's my goal for this game. So how you do this is you have a hand of cards, and you have different types of cards, and on your turn you draw one card and then you play one card. So there's different types of cards. There are artifacts like these. These are both the Mona Lisa, and there's three Mona Lisas. There's a real one, there's a fake one, and a very fake one. The very fake one's got a mustache, the fake one's winking. And the artifacts do different things because you also have another goal. This is called your mission. I was after the Mona Lisa. I needed all three Mona Lisas. You can see just behind my card there, I already had two. I just needed one more in play to win the game. And that's what artifacts do. You play them in front of you, people can steal them, people can make them be discarded and stuff like that. There are also gadgets you can play, and they have different effects on the game. There are actions that are like single-use cards. You just do what it says and discard it. And there are time warps, which are super powerful actions. And they all do different things. I'm not going to go through what they actually do. They will just manipulate the game, flip cards, move things around, steal things off other people, etc. Now there are two other types of cards that are inverters, and these change history. So you would take one of the events, they're called linchpin events in the timeline, and you would flip it over, and then you would flip over everything that one affects. So for example, you've got the 1936, Hitler opens the 1936 Olympics, he gives a speech. And then the Olympics happens. Now, what happens if you kill Hitler in 1936? Well, Germany doesn't invade Poland, so you'd flip that card over because Hitler's not there to sort that out. The final solution is not undertaken, that would be a good thing. Then, obviously, because there's no World War II, there's no D-Day, and there's no A-bombs dropped on Japan, and because that doesn't lead to the Arab-Israeli war, Israel isn't founded. So that's what would happen in this game if Hitler is killed in 1936. So that's what you do. You flip 1936 down, it shows you the years of the ripple effect through time, which card you would turn face down. And sometimes that creates a paradox and things will happen. If this happens, then that happens, but because that's happened, this thing in history couldn't happen, etc. And it's very easy to do because all the years are laid out on the card. It tells you what you need to flip up and flip face down. And if you do create a paradox, you can patch them up, so you can repair history with a patch card. These change events in the timeline, and each patch is for a specific paradox that can occur in the game, so you can't do it on any paradox. You've got to have the specific one in your hand to be able to change that. There is a special situation that can occur if in 1962 the Cuban Missile Crisis was not averted, then World War III happens and everyone kills everyone, so there's like a mega apocalypse. So if that happens, everything after 1962 can't be used, and you kind of grab all those cards and you move them away from the rest of the cards a bit, just to remind everyone that the world doesn't exist after 1962. And that's it. You keep playing until somebody hits a win condition. It's made by the same people as Flux. It has that same feel. You're just playing a card and hopefully things land in your favour so that you can win the game. Cards are going to be flipping themselves backwards and forwards all the time, and you need to get three cards in a certain position in order to win, and that will happen, or it won't happen, but it will happen for somebody else, and there's no time limit to the game. I'm assuming these could go on quite a bit if cards keep getting flipped up and flipped down. If people know or memorise some of the goals that people need, some people will memorise the years that are required to win the game. I'm sure some people do what they can to make sure none of those combinations happen on the board. I guess that can happen if you play the game a lot. But I really enjoyed it. I liked the sort of the ripples through time, the way that if you changing one card will change all these different events through history, which would happen, obviously, should history be able to be changed, which of course it isn't. Oh, one endgame condition that I forgot, another way to win the game is every time you play a patch, you get to draw a card. So obviously because you're drawing a card and playing a card, you're always going to have 3 cards in your hand, because obviously the number of cards in your hand is never going to increase. But every time you play a patch, you get to draw a card, so then your hand limit's going to be, well, your hand size is going to be 4, then 5, then 6. If you get to 10 cards, then you win the game. So that's another way to win. You can either complete your ID mission, complete your artifact mission, or you can just get up to 10 cards in your hand. So that's another way to win the game. Yeah, it's very random, it's very fun though. It's very different. I think there's a Back to the Future version, there's a Star Trek version, either out or on the way or something. It's a rumour that I've heard. But actually, while we're playing this game, I think I was looking on Board Game Geek and I saw the news there. So it's not out yet, but it's coming soon. So that'd be good. But yeah, enjoyable game. Bit fiddly, nonetheless, but good fun. That is Chrononauts. Remember to like, share and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at JTRPodcast to find the blog and the podcast at JTRPodcast.com. I've been Rob, aka Jesta ThaRogue, and I'll see you soon.